The inaugural edition of 2013-14 Cardinal Clips is on its way. We hope you enjoy it. We're going to be talking to the inductees for the Cardinal Pride Hall of Fame. My first guest tonight is Katie Ingram. She's a 1982 graduate from Willmar Senior High. Katie, I'm really glad that you were able to make it all the way from Reno. I hope you had a good trip.
Yeah, great trip. Easy. My sister Julie flew in from Los Angeles, so we met up in Phoenix and flew in together.
How do you like coming home?
I do like coming home. In the summer, we have a cabin on Eagle Lake, so Eagle Lake is a pretty magical place for me growing up, so I love coming home in the summer, spending time at Eagle Lake. And then I usually try to come home at Christmas or one of the holidays, but I do like to come home. I don't get to see my mom very often. My dad passed away in 2008, so it's nice to come home and see Willmar and how it's grown and changed. And I do like Willmar. I love coming back to Willmar.
Katie, it seemed to me like you had a fairly magical career when you were in high school. You were a gymnastics champ, you were a swimming champ, you were a golf champ. What was it like playing athletics in 1982?
As an athlete, a female athlete in 1982, it was just what I knew. It was what I did. At that point, women's athletics had grown since the early 70s, so it was just what I did. I grew up being an athlete. My father and mother both were active. My dad was a pretty amazing hockey player at St. John's University and was actually scouted by a pro team as a pitcher. But medicine really was his true calling, so I think I followed in their footsteps. But we grew up as athletes, always playing, not necessarily formal sports, but as a female athlete in high school, it really was a team effort always. And as a female athlete, I felt pretty fortunate. I have older sisters that didn't have sports, so I was the lucky one that got to participate.
You were kind of at the cusp of a change in women's athletics because prior to you, some of it was club sports and some of it wasn't really interscholastic. It was, but in the early 80s, there was a change. All of a sudden, women's athletics were growing. Was that a hard time, a fun time? What do you remember about that?
What I remember is just in Willmar, I mean, we had limited sports, as opposed to, say, Edina or somewhere in Minneapolis, St. Paul. But I think we did really well for what we had as beginning women's athletes, and trying to compete with some of the athletes from the Twin Cities area. So I think we had pretty phenomenal coaches, and it just always seemed to come back to teamwork. That we always seemed to pull together and know that we had to be a little bit extra special and work a little bit extra harder to be able to compete with some of those athletes, like you said, that have opportunities for club team and a lot more money and more sports to choose from.
Who are some of your classmates or teammates that you played with when you were being so successful in gymnastics and swimming and golf?
The standouts in golf were definitely Kari Haug, who still to this day is a dear friend of mine. She really carried the team. Lori and Cindy Knight, excellent golfers. In gymnastics, it was Laura Beam and Lori Pistolka. And in swimming, we had a pretty solid team, but Sue DeCathalino at the time, of course, it takes a small army to win. So we were all pretty tight and pretty solid as teammates.
Because you were successful in 3 different sports, is there one that just stands out as I got so lucky or I was so good that night as you look back and think about it?
Definitely swimming. would be my choice as really a standout. What I really was passionate about was swimming. I think as a sophomore, well, actually, it was as a seventh grader qualifying for regionals. Made this varsity swim team as a seventh grader, so I think it was qualifying for regionals as a seventh grader, being the only one who qualified. Scared to death. I just remember I was scared to death, and I know my mom said she was sitting in the stands. She was so nervous for me that she was crying for me. But that was probably it as far as really stand out. And then I swam with a club team out of St. Cloud, and we had some pretty fun events. The Aquatennial meet, the Edina Aquatennial, years ago was a really big meet, and we did okay. We'd be swimming under the lights at midnight because it just took all day.
That's a long meet, isn't it?
Yeah, it was really a long meet, but yeah, a lot of fun.
Well, that's really good. Where'd you go to college?
I started out at the College of St. Catherine's in St. Paul, and I swam there for 2 years, and then transferred out to Cal State Northridge, and swam there for 3 years.
As you look back on high school, most good athletes are also relatively good students. You have any memories of teachers along the way?
I know that I had, most of them were my sporting, teachers, like Hal Miller and I were just talking about, we were reminiscing. He was my teacher back at Jefferson High School and basketball coach, and he, driving ed teacher, and we were just laughing and giggling a little bit about that. Mr. Horning, John Horning, was a pretty special guy.
Katie, if you were going to make a recommendation to young girls that are going relative to athletics, you're a 14-time letter winner. That's pretty amazing. What would that suggestion be? What would that recommendation, what would that guidance be that you might give those young athletes?
As a 3-sport athlete, or any sport athlete, as guidance, I would just say show up every day and be ready to work, and whatever that is for that day, that it is 100% of what you can give that day. I think being a good teammate and helping your teammates, because there's a lot of hours. It's not easy. It's not hard. It's hard. It's not easy to show up every day when you're tired and you've been at school. And for swimming, we'd have practice in the morning and have practice again in the afternoon, and weightlifting. And I think it's just showing up. And for me, it was always about attitude. Like, you just have to show up with the right attitude, and leave whatever is bothering you that day, or whatever you're just not feeling well. Don't bring that with you, and you have to just show up and be strong. You have to dig deep and really just be stronger than the next person, the next competitor, and you have to have your teammates on board with that.
When you, in your career now, you're still active, from what I understand, own a business that deals with fitness. Is that correct?
Yeah, we own a health-related business called Sierra Body Works in Reno, Nevada. I am the personal fitness trainer, and my husband, Eric, is the manual therapist.
Have you been doing that since college, or was there another career that you kind of did and then went into the personal fitness?
I coached for a year out of college, coached a high school team. I taught PE for 2 years, but always during that time I worked at a fitness club so I could have a free membership. It just made sense. And then kind of realized I could make a living. I could make some pretty decent money being a personal trainer. Also moving, it was one of those jobs that you could take anywhere. So I have been personal fitness training 25 years.
So, Katie, you still like to win?
Yeah. It's really kind of a curse. I mean, even watching the Pep Fest and the scooter race, I looked over at Lee and I'm like, Lee, we could totally take these kids. Like, we should be out there. So yeah, I'm a teeny bit competitive still.
As we end the interview, is there anything at all, Katie, you'd like to say to friends or classmates that maybe watch this? Because you will be on the internet.
I know I will be on the internet, and I know they'll find me too. They will seek this out and find me. I just, it's been really fun reflecting back 31 years to my high school career as a Cardinal. Just the support. I just have to really thank my family. I had really, really supportive parents that encouraged me, followed me everywhere, paid for what I needed to, uniforms and things like that. And it's just really made me what my life is today as a personal fitness trainer. And I do coach some swimming and some triathletes. So I think having an athletic background and understanding their psyche and what they're going through has definitely made me a better coach and fitness trainer.
Not only that, but you still look good in a 1982 letter jacket.
I know. I am rocking my 1982 letter jacket. I couldn't even believe it when I found it in my mom's closet.
Katie, thanks so much for coming to Willmar and visiting with me.
Oh, great. Thank you so much. It's been really a great day. Cardinal Pride puts a lot into the activities for us, and it's quite an honor.
Katie earned 14 varsity letters competing in 3 sports each year from 7th through 12th grade. Made varsity swim team in 7th grade, Central Lakes Conference captain, and member of 7 Central Lakes Conference championship teams. 4-time All-Conference in 2 sport, a 5-time qualifier in the Class AA State Championship in 2 sports. Tonight she is escorted by board members Sharon Rambo and swim team captains Kennedy Howarda and Michaela Hendrickson. Let's hear it for Katie McCarthy Ingram.